Imagine yourself as a flower. How do flowers give? And they give so much. If you're walking along and there's a flower, it's wonderful. And how do flowers give? How do they give their beautiful colors and their scent? They give it just by being themselves. And each one is itself. A rose doesn't try to be a poppy. A daffodil doesn't try to be a tulip. They are exactly what they are, and they just emanate beauty and often perfume. And this is how we give the most to the world. So many people I know want to give to others. I think everybody really wants that. And sometimes we try very hard to give to others. And sometimes we try so hard that we're straining and sacrificing. We are second guessing what we should say or how we should act. And we think we're helping. We think we're helping other people that way. But I've found a different approach allows so much more giving and is effortless. This is what is so hard for so many people to accept, that just by being who we are fully, we give to other people. We gum up ourselves by trying to do the nice thing all the time, or the appropriate thing, or always giving and sacrificing. And we all know that doesn't work as a long-term solution or strategy, because we build up resentment, we feel stressed, we feel the other person's now obligated, we've sacrificed so much, etc., etc. Sometimes letting your flower blossom means putting a wall around that flower and not letting other people in for a time. And one of the ways I do that is every morning I meditate, and I also write. And during those periods, I have a wall around me that is protecting my soil, my garden, and it's allowing myself to bloom. And when I do that, I give to others in a much more fundamental way. It's a way that's beyond the trying and the worrying. It just happens. And it's such a beautiful thing. And I want so much for all the well-meaning, well-intentioned people who want so much to help those around them and to be kind. I want so much for them to know that being kind to the world means being kind to yourself, putting yourself first, setting up boundaries, reserving time so that you feel connected so that you feel happy. If you feel exhausted and exasperated and frustrated and worried and feeling like you're not doing enough for other people, or you can't help them and you want to, those are all signs that I want to say you need to set aside time for yourself so that you can be a flower for the world. And I'm phrasing that as though helping is the goal. And that can also mess you up if you have this idea that you need to be helping. Because again, letting your flower grow is pleasurable. It feels good. And when you focus on that, even though it feels selfish, maybe, it's actually the most helpful thing you can do. If it feels good and natural to give, then give. That's part of your flower blooming and radiating. But if you feel depleted or you need some time, that's every bit as important. One of the differences in this approach, in the, let's say, the flower approach, it's not so focused on that particular moment. In other words, if in a given moment you can't give, that's okay. It's this ongoing paying attention to your flower, to your soil, to your growth, to your fullness of being. It's this ongoing attention that you pay to yourself so that your garden can blossom. This is what ultimately, and in the long run, and much more fundamentally, will allow you to give to other people. Again, just by being you, because your garden is simply blooming. So, a good image to keep in mind is the image of a walled garden. And I learned about this from the mythologist Michael Meade. There's the garden, which is where the beauty and the love and the giving and the celebration and the pleasure happens. And there's the wall that protects that. So people who are, let's say, overly nice and feel depleted or not rewarded or not recognized, lots of times neglect that wall because they're wanting to be nice and giving to other people. And what's happening is there's no wall, and some other people can run around and just trample that garden. And then when your garden is trampled, you're not good for anyone, not for yourself and not for others in a really fundamental long-term way. You see, ideas are actually not, in a way, natural. All ideas, from the spiritual viewpoint, are fundamentally artificial. And it's not that ideas aren't helpful sometimes. It's that if ideas are taken as absolute reality, they interfere with our natural flow, our natural functioning, our natural growth, to use the metaphor I'm using here. And in the case of the idea that I am a nice person, I am a giving person, there's obviously nothing wrong with being nice and giving. And in a way, that's the point of one of the points of this video, is how to be that more. The issue comes up when we impose that idea at any given moment as something that we need to live up to. There's something more fundamental than ideas, and that's where these flowers come from. When we can see through the ideas, when we can let whatever we are, the mystery of who we are, the hugeness of who we are, when we can let that come up, that blossoms the most in the absence of ideas. And that's such a beautiful thing.